Here we have the new 2026 Cadillac LYRIQ-V. This one comes in Argent Silver Metallic, and then we have the Noir with Santorini Blue vegan leather interior. We get an electric motor on each axle, 615 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque here, and then up to 190 kilowatts in terms of the DC fast charge speed. But front end here, LED headlamps along with the LED signature lights. Still a great look here, and I like how subtle the LYRIQ-V is compared to the LYRIQ. And really, the only way to tell is by the badging. Now down here, these are gonna be 22-inch alloy wheels, and this was interesting. They look good on here, but I'm just surprised they put that big of a wheel on this car. So again, this is one of the main ways to tell if this is a V or not, because other than that, you look at it, looks just like a regular LYRIQ other than the wheels. But again, 190 kilowatt max DC fast charge speed there. Passive keyless entry. And then to the door panel here, heated cooled seats, memory seat functions, power seat, back seat, bottom. We have our 4-way power lumbar support with massage function, one-touch up and down windows on all 4 doors. And then we have our power folding side mirrors that are heated, and they do have blind spot monitors in them. AKG Studio sound system, the power lift gates there. That's how you get in the front. Electronic parking brake, lane keeping system, power tilt telescoping steering wheel. And take a look at those pedals, I like those. But there's the seat itself. And I want to give a huge thanks to Cadillac of Murfreesboro for allowing me to review this LYRIQ-V today. I'll leave a link below in the description. But if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click on that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information. I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on this or whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. Trying to see this through the tint. 43% US Canadian parts content, and then 18% China, 17% Korea. So that's a fun fact. It's assembled in Spring Hill. But I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs and sitting behind myself. Pretty good space here. Seat back pockets are on both sides. 3-stage heated outboard seats in the rear, and then we have our automatic climate controls for the rear as well. AC vents are down below. You get 2 USB-C ports, 3-prong household plug-in, and then fold the middle seat down. You get bottle holders there. Now with the panoramic roof, that's a sunshade, and there's a look at the front from back here. And then soft touch lighting. I'm sure the speaker system's pretty good. You have speakers there, here, and this is just for the back. And then as we come around to the back end, excuse the bird poop, there's a look there again. Really the only way to tell it's a LYRIQ-V, or the easiest way to tell, is with that badge there. But there's a look at the cargo space. We can power release the second row if we need to. And then the top tethers for the car seats are integrated on the back of the seats themselves. And the cargo shade, we can just wrap in there and ravel it back up. It's a 12-volt. And that's the space comparison with the seat folded down compared to the seat folded up. Let's see if we have any storage underneath here. Yeah, a little bit, and there's the charger. Now in terms of the charging speed, if you're charging it at home, I'm assuming that it'll get done within 12 hours, if not sooner, just depending on what you're running. Like my Mach-E, they say it takes 10 hours, but usually it takes me about 8. And then we have our lower latch anchors for the car seats right there. Now, we do have a little bit of recline there at least. Not too much, but it's there. Front passenger seat. And then a USB-C port down there, storage. Hit this button on the screen. Glove compartment, owner's manuals are in there. I like how the vents are integrated here as well. That looks really, really clean. But your heated cooled seats, memory seat functions, and then your massage, all of that's right there like it is on the driver's side. But we're just gonna take a quick look in the engine bay. And no storage or anything, just a cover. Let's go ahead and take a look at the blinkers. So I say this all the time, I love the blinkers on the LYRIQ because, I mean, it's pretty hard not to see these. It goes from the back to the side. You can pretty much see it from all angles. And then you have the one in the side mirror and the one up front here. So they look good, but they're also very, very usable. But hopping in the driver's seat here, nice leather wrap steering wheel. There's a horn, Super Cruise indicator, Super Cruise sensor there. And then to the screen, we still get wireless CarPlay, Android Auto compatibility here, which is great. We get AM, FM, XM, and then we also have the Bluetooth, Google News. We have the Google Maps system if you want to use that, Auto Park Assist, the ambient lighting. And then your controls are here. So electronic child safety locks, you can toggle those there, the traction control, park assist, automatic braking, all that. I don't recommend taking the traction control off ever, especially with something that does 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, but auto high beams, and then you can go into your lights, and then you can control your headlights from the screen here. But you also have a setting over here, and that's what I love about the LYRIQs, is you can go in here and do it from the side like you typically would, or you can change the layout depending on this for the heads-up display. So different views are there. Let me zoom in on that if I can see it. There it is. So you have the augmented reality, the assist, and then the standard look there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see it's changing. So you can control that here, the trip meter, and then the layout. So if you want to change that, just changes the views of the gauge cluster. But back to the screen, universal home remotes there as well. Your drive modes, this is important. You have Tour, Sport, Snow and Ice, My Mode, and the V mode. So you can click that V mode right there. And then you also have the Velocity Max that you can turn on right there. So if you want to use a screen, you can. Then you have your one pedal. You can customize your setup there. And then your vehicle status is in here. So you can control the tire pressure monitors, or take a look at the tire pressure monitors, energy info, air quality, performance. So this is nice to see the G-force and the output. And then you also can look at certain things just by clicking on the animation there. But your settings in here, vehicle settings include teen driver, rear seat reminder, buckle to drive, the Super Cruise lane change. And if you scroll down to your system settings here, you can change your language or your units of measurement. And then for the charging, you can set all that up. So what you want the battery to charge to, set up that schedule, and preconditioning temp, all of that you can adjust. But dual zone automatic climate controls, you can use the screen here for most, or for everything, and then you have most everything down here below, including the auto, fan direction, speed, temperature, and all that. And then you can toggle between the AC being on, the heat being on, and then a little storage tray down here. Backup cameras here, guidelines follow you as you turn the steering wheel. You also have the bird's eye view, and then you can turn off the reverse auto braking if that gets annoying. Parking cars around here, a lot of the times it'll just throw the brake on for no reason. So sometimes it's a bit too good, but for the most part, it does a pretty good job. Same with the sensors and all of that. Overhead view, hitch view, side view. And then again, you can do most of that except the hitch view for the front camera as well. Now, if you don't want to use a touch screen, you can use this knob to go through all of your options. Kind of scroll or tap over depending on what you're trying to do. And you have shortcuts for the home, the maps, the phone, and then the audio there. But volume knob is here. You can turn that up, click to mute. Bottle holders are here. Your center console cubby space has a USB-C port, 12 volt, and then the wireless charging pad is stowed there as well. Up here, rear camera mirror. This is where your hazards are. OnStar's here as well. And then this is for the sunshade for the glass roof if you want to retract that. I'm gonna put that back. There's a view of the back seat from up here. Vanity mirrors there. And then back to the steering wheel. Blinkers. Wipers. Now push in for that fluid for the front. And then in the back, you just have the rear camera washer there. I'll pull in that. For the shifter, right side, hit the brake. Pull in for neutral, pull and up for reverse, pull and down for drive. Press in there for park. If you don't have the one pedal on, you can pull with the recuperation for the regenerative brake in there. But cruise, adaptive, if you want to change between adaptive and regular, hold this X here and it'll show you when you change between regular cruise and then back to adaptive. You set that there, or turn that on there, set the speed here, and then you can turn on the super cruise when applicable there, and you'll get an indicator letting you know you can turn that on. And the gap adjust for that is there. Heated steering wheel. When applicable, you can use this as a dial. So mostly for the audio sources, you can scroll down there. And then when you have the phone up, you can use that too, and use it as a check. But volume, track list radio station presets, Bluetooth, this is also a mute button, then voice recognition. And I like how they put the emblem there because the V is up here. And again, the heads up display, the camera doesn't do it justice, but it's pretty nice. You can, well, yeah, you can see it there. Turns green when I adjust the gap. So the colors are phenomenal. But no push button start. You can just turn it and have it set for a certain amount of time or turn it off there. But mostly when you get in and out of the vehicle, when you get in, hit the brake, that starts it. And when you get out, if it's just set normally, it'll cut off by itself. Here's the key fob with remote start. And now for the fun part. Let's go ahead and take this 2026 LYRIQ-V out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this LYRIQ-V here, still very smooth ride. And most people that buy these LYRIQs, that's why they like them. They don't ride like a typical EV. They're very smooth. But this doesn't have what you would expect in terms of suspension. This has a continuous damping system. So it's not like the magnetic ride control in that sense, but it does kind of help with the ride quality itself. And it's one of the issues I had when these first came out is they just don't feel as fast as they are. Even in the basic versions of the LYRIQ, they're just almost numb, but that makes the ride fantastic. Let's make sure the V is on. Have a little space. Here we go. So pretty good there in terms of the acceleration. I was expecting it to be a bit faster, but what makes these, again, such a good vehicle is they don't feel as fast as they are because the suspension isn't as stiff. Even in the sport mode here. And the battery's only 26% too. But here's the Super Cruise. You have the lane centering, adaptive cruise. And I like that I can see the energy usage there. But even in the V, I am amazed with how smooth this is riding down the road. It's so impressive. I drove an EQE AMG, I think yesterday, and that car was so quick. It was visceral when you put your foot into it, but It didn't ride as well as this does. It was still a smooth ride relatively, but this floats down the road like a Cadillac. I mean, it feels that good behind the wheel. The funny thing is, it's one of the smoothest riding Cadillacs, but it's also the fastest or the quickest in terms of the 0 to 60. So this V also has something called the competitive mode. So what that does is it limits your traction control. You turn that on, it'll show you the stability control will be reduced for optimum vehicle performance. So that's how you get your 3.3 0 to 60 time there. But I'm gonna leave that off. I do want to give one more thanks to Cadillac of Murfreesboro for allowing me to review this LYRIQ-V today. I'll leave a link below in the description. But if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click on that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information, and I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on this or whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. But these are 80K plus. Range is decent, getting 285 miles on a charge. I'm guessing you could probably do better if you are very light with the throttle. But I mean, that's still a decent number compared to the EQE AMG, which is rated for a much lower range. And then even some options like the Ioniq 5, you get that in a dual motor setup. Other vehicles that are in this segment. This is still one of the better options in terms of the range, but especially when you add the luxury and performance here, I really don't think this car can be touched. It just feels that good. It's that smooth. It's that quick. Just checks all the boxes. But the interior is nice. Everything in here feels like luxury. It really does. And again, I'm just so impressed with how well this thing rides, even with this being the V. It feels so smooth. And what's great about that is if you want the performance, you have that. But if you're just gonna be driving this down the road normally, it's really hard to tell the difference between this and a regular LYRIQ. Of course, it's so quiet in here, just with it being an electric vehicle, the sound acoustics, insulation, so luxurious in the cabin. But if you're looking at something like an EQE AMG, one of those really fast sports vehicles, even like a Model Y performance, you might want to take a look at this if you have the money. And this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2026 Cadillac LYRIQ-V.